JW here. Just wanted to do a quick recording to check out a software program that I'm putting together. I'm not putting it together, I'm just starting to use it, I should say. And so far, I think I like it. It gives me the ability to show my face at the bottom while I'm pointing out something on the screen, such as maybe a YouTube video that I might recommend or that I might want to create or comment on something that's happening in the world, which often happens. Sometimes you find a video that makes all the sense in the world to you, and you kind of want to share it with others and say, "Hey." And if you put up a link, it doesn't have the same effect because most people just go right by it. But if you put up a video with your face on, people get a little curious and they might check it out. So, and other times, mostly, I kind of like to find things that maybe bother me one way or the other, and I can rant a little bit on it. It makes me feel better. I'm not angry. I'm like an actor or a comedian. You know how they'll start ranting and raving, but they're really not mad. And I'm not mad. I'm never mad. Almost never mad. It's gotta be really bad for me to be mad. Bad for me to be mad. I might make a t-shirt out of that. But you know what I mean? Mistreating a child or something, or a woman or something, or mistreating an elderly person, and then that probably be mad. I know I would. Maybe it wouldn't work out well for me, because oftentimes there's an old saying, no good deed goes unpunished, and I found that to be true over the years. But I think what would be worse would be to regret not having stepped in and helped someone who needed your help. But anyway, I get this video and goes here and see if on YouTube and see if I can find anything of interest. Sports videos now. I don't follow sports very closely, which sounds odd, but I like to watch replays of the games of players that I really enjoy watching. The Celtics have been on fire as of late, so I make a point of play the next day, and I like watching certain players like Luka Doncic and several of the European players who really are, and those guys. I mean, those guys are really good. I just like watching the replays of those teams because they play basketball the way I remember it growing up, watching the Celtics, the old Celtic teams, and all the way up through Bird. Teams were so unselfish, and even Bird, who, he could have probably scored 50 points every game. But, Bird got more of a kick out of making a beautiful basket, and all the great ones do. Cousy when I was a kid, Cousy was referred to as the magician, and he was back in those days, it was unheard of what the guy could do. And then along came, Pete Maravich, Ernie DiGregorio, Tiny Archibald. They did things that defied the imagination. And guys like me who grew up, when I first started watching Cousy, I was like an 8 or 9 year old child. And it had I followed them, since I was about 8 or 9 years old. In this game in 1955, it was before Russell. I remember Arnie Risen was the center, but it was just magic to me. The whole game was magic. I enjoyed watching NFL football. I loved baseball, but there was something about, in hockey, I used to enjoy watching the hockey games as well, but there was something about basketball that did it for me. I wasn't tall or anything like that. It's just some reason. And, I just remember a friend of mine in grammar school. His dad was a firefighter, and he took us to Celtics game. It was my first time ever. I think it was my first time ever out of South Boston. But, well, no, I think I was in mother, and dad. But it was one of the few times I ever left Boston, and it's the first time. And I was just, I was walking on air for days afterward. And as it turned out, the next time we went, he took us to a bunch of games. And it turns out I think it was his brother who, I think it was Jim Gillooly, if I want to say, of the Herald, was his brother-in-law. And so he used to get, the ducats, the freebies, which was fine with me. It was a nice man to take his son and I to the games. But one time we got to get down in the and just walk in, meet the players, and Kuzi came over, and Bill Sharman came over, and he had a couple of those. They used to, I don't know if you old timers, they used to sell orange juice at the Garden, and it used to come in like a cardboard bottle almost container. And so anyway, Bill Sharman brought us over a couple of those, and I mean, man, Kit and Mike, we were just, so starstruck and so amazed by it all. I don't think it's one of the great memories of my childhood for sure, and maybe the greatest. When you get to meet a professional athlete when you're 9 years old, 10 years old, it was just amazing. So I have followed the Celtics ever since. Was a rabid Celtic fan for many, many years, along with friends of mine, and we used to have season tickets for many years. I think my brother Eddie and I had them, if I'm not mistaken, 94 to 1998. It's close to that, and we didn't miss a game. And prior to that, when I was a kid, a friend of mine, a childhood friend, and I used to sneak into the games at the Garden. We figured out a way of getting in through the boiler room, which was kind of dangerous if our parents ever knew what the hell we were doing to get into these games. They wouldn't have been so happy about us going to the games. We used to go to everything. We used to go to the basketball, hockey. We used to go to the circus, the rodeo, wrestling, whatever was in town. And we knew exactly we knew the layout of the place so well that we would get into the boiler room, and there was an usher who used to kind of stand about maybe 20 feet away, and we knew his ticks, we knew his moves, and we would have to peek through the boiler room door and wait till he got distracted and was facing a different direction, and then we'd just go up. And I think he saw us a couple of times and just made like he didn't, He's probably a real good guy. And but anyway, we'd go hang out and see what developed. And almost always there were empty seats in the Garden at that time, no matter what the event was. Bill Russell and the greatest Celtics teams of all time used to play before half-empty houses. It was amazing looking back. If Bill Russell and those Celtics teams were playing today, with the way the fandom and the social media and all that, they'd be mega rock stars. Imagine winning 11 world championships in 13 years. But yeah, it was fun. A lot of good memories and from childhood. And I still like to watch the games, but I don't want to sit down and watch a whole game. First of all, a lot of times I like to be in bed by between 10 and 11. So, I like to get up early, and I don't want to be, if the game's like on the West Coast, there's no chance of watching it, none, zero. But the beauty of YouTube, I love YouTube because I can watch all the highlights of the games, and I can go to three or four different sources, and they have different highlights, and I pretty much cram a game in about 20 minutes. And, so that's good. I like that. It's kind of like a Red Sox friend of mine is, he watches, I guess, the speed version of the game the next day. You can watch. And he says he can do a whole game in about 25 minutes, I think. And so, that's the speed versions. Because, we don't have time. When I was a kid, that's all I did was watch sports. That was life, watching life. And, I couldn't wait to see the next event that was coming on. So, but nowadays, of course, as you get older, you have responsibilities. And even though I don't have a job anymore, I have little businesses I work on, and I have a little side hustle, and I work as a crossing guard. So I keep very busy. And I try to spend as much time with my granddaughter as I can during the day. And so by the time it's dinner time, I've put in a pretty good day. I don't have too much free time. Now, if I wanted to create free time, I could. I could eliminate some of the things I do, but I kind of like keeping busy because free time is, I don't know about you, but too much. Thinking can be good in certain instances. You might think of things you did in your past or that you regret, or it can. I think a lot of reasons people get depressed is they beat themselves up over what they may have done in the past. And I watch a lot of motivational type stuff, and invariably they'll say you have to let the past go. You have to forgive yourself, and if you believe you did things that weren't right, or maybe you drank too much, or maybe some people took drugs, or they did things that they regretted doing. They weren't a good person. Okay. And none of us are perfect. And I realize that. And I think, in the big picture of life, I'm certainly not the worst that ever lived. Certainly not the average, like most of us. But anyway, that's what I do. And it's not a real exciting life, but it's my life and I like it. I'm happy with it. I don't need a lot of entertainment. I don't need travel in my life anymore. I'm just kind of happy with my routines. I'm a very routine oriented person, and I try to stick to them, and it's what I do. So I won't keep you any longer. Like I said, I was just kind of sorting through the YouTube videos to see if I discovered anything that makes me angry or makes me happy. Or here's one. Used to be a kid who played for the Celtics. His name was Delonte West, and Delonte was a nice kid.
I just want
just listen.
There's this moment. Our next, all we have is this present moment, and this is my gift from God. And He has prepared me. Thank God, friends and family.
Delonte West is. He was a number one draft choice of the Boston Celtics, and he's a pretty good ball player. I don't think he ever really reached the potential they thought he would, but he was still a decent ball player, pretty good ball player. He started for shoes. Like I said, I think he was a street kid, and anyway, he bounced around after the Celtics traded him. He bounced years, but he ended up doing drugs, and he was apparently I don't know the details of this. I'm not much of a pop culture guy, but the word was that he was having an affair with LeBron James at the time, or shortly thereafter. He played with LeBron James when he went to the Cavaliers. Delonte West was traded to the Cavaliers while LeBron was there, which if the rumor dating LeBron's mother, I'm sure that was somewhat awkward, but according to all reports, they became friends. Anyway, getting back to Delonte, so he got back on drugs or started hanging out with the wrong crowd, homeless. I remember that. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the last team he played for prior to having all his troubles and back on the street, homeless, were the Dallas Mavericks. And the owner of the Mavericks, Mark Cuban, he apparently heard about Delonte being homeless, and he went and took him off the streets and got him cleaned up and got him back on his feet, at least temporarily. I heard he then had another relapse, but apparently Delonte's back for another shot. And there's I think it's called 3-on-3 basketball or something. I don't follow it, but one of the I think one of the music guys. I don't want to call it the wrong genre because I'll get in trouble there. But I think it was one of the gangster rap guy, one of those rap guys got involved in one of the big time rap guys got involved, and he started this league. I think it's 3-on-3. And anyway, Delonte is looking to get back. I think he's probably in his, I don't know, he must be.
Something I didn't do. And a Bible study with Curtis Martin. And
for long-time Celtic fans, you'll remember Curtis Martin. I should say for long-time Patriots fans, Curtis Martin, football player for the Patriots, and then ended up playing for the Jets for many, many years. He's a Hall of Famer and a really, really good ball player. And I guess, I don't know if he has some sort of ministry, but I know he was a really nice man. And I'm not surprised to hear Delonte mention his name with associating him with someone who's on a mission to help people like that.
I can't wait to go and show what I can do.
So anyway, I'll always root for guys like Delonte. I seem like a good kid. Whenever you see a guy who's covering nearly 100% of their body, you know there's issues there. There's a self-destructive nature that why would anybody? I mean, it's fine to put a couple of tattoos on your body. I don't have any problem with people starting to put them on their face and covering every aspect of their body. And they do it allegedly to tell a story of their life. If you look at Delonte's, there's a lot of violence, and I guess it's their way of coping. And I'm certainly not going to judge them, but I always liked him as a player, and I never understood him as a person. He was a very unusual personality, and wasn't a warm, like a Magic Johnson. You immediately like a guy like that with the smiles, and where Delonte was a very serious kind of held it back. But I hope he gets his life together and keeps clean, and I hope he makes it in this league and maybe finds some more reasons to like himself, And I think a lot of those guys who end up like that, they don't like themselves. And, it's the hardest part about most people who don't like themselves. The sad part is that most of the people around them like them. The reason Mark Cuban went out of his way to help a guy like Delonte West apparently was because he liked it in him. And unfortunately, people like Delonte West, they don't oftentimes see the good in themselves. So maybe with Curtis Martin's missionary work that he's helping him with, and maybe all of that comes together and it works out good for Delonte West. So anyway, it was of someone I liked and I'm rooting for, and I'd heard the stories, and so it seems like he's getting his life together, and that a few days ago, so it works out for him.